interesting, isn't it? That operational excellence seems to be the term that everybody's now using, and it used to be process excellence. And yeah, it could be described as just a rebrand, but rebranding is really important. Process tends to make people think of boring, staid, and actually low-level automation. Operational excellence, I think, has a different flavour to it. It's strategic, it's critically important to the way operations work. And what's more important, that it's starting to get the involvement, the engagement of senior people. And I think that's critically important. Process tended to be something which the back office or IT got involved with, and now we're raising it up so that actually it becomes a strategic imperative. And I think that's critically important. Well, having been involved around operational excellence the last 20 years, I think probably the last 5 years I've seen the greatest changes. And that means it's very hard for companies. Firstly, there's enormous pressure for them to be more customer-centric. The customers are a lot more demanding. Secondly, there is an increased level of regulation, which means that whilst companies are trying to be agile and support their customers, at the same time they need to satisfy those regulatory requirements. You then overlay on top of that the fact that everyone wants to be a new digital business, and there are huge pressures on organisations. And obviously, operational excellence is about how you would redesign that new business. So no longer is it about evolving what you've currently got. In a number of cases, it's a true revolution. Let's take an example. If you think about Uber, which is the go-to example, Uber has completely revolutionised the way that taxis have worked. They've thought about it from technology, but also from the user experience perspective. They've completely reinvented that industry. And that's what's happening in company after company, in industry after industry. And that's really how operational excellence has changed. It's almost taking a whole new perspective on how to run a business from a customer-centric perspective, rather than purely a slight evolution on what we used to do. Every organisation wants to be agile, and I think that's quite difficult with a backdrop of regulation. But clearly companies need to continue to transform and change to support customer needs, to support global competition, but also to support the change in regulation. Now, transformation is not technical. Transformation is about trying to get people, all the employees, and all the subcontractors and all your suppliers to work in a different, but importantly, a consistent way. So what do we need for transformation? Well, first of all, it needs to be strategic. It needs to be top-down, driven by senior management. Secondly, you need to have an understanding about what you want people to do. So that means about process visualization. And only then can you start to think about which of those activities can we automate to improve compliance, to improve efficiency. Too many people rush to automation. Now, the last time I checked in the dictionary, analysis came before automation, and that's the sequence we should be doing it in. Everybody talks about we want to be more customer-centric, we need to improve our customer experience. That's actually critically important, but it's actually very difficult. Yes, you could design a better front office or a better call center process, but you're setting a promise there which the back office needs to deliver. So if you're saying on your call center, absolutely we'll get that product reshipped within 2 days, have you got the back office processes that are capable of doing that? So when you start thinking about this being customer-centric, you need to think about the entire end-to-end process. So again, take a strategic view and then only be able to promise what you genuinely can deliver. And so you may take this in stages. But again, it's starting by thinking about the customer journey or the customer experience. Despite my English accent, I actually live out in Silicon Valley. And coming to an event here is fantastic to catch up and see what some of the new software vendors are doing in the automation space. Also to hear what some of the clients are now doing. Silicon Valley has been described as 49 square miles surrounded by reality. I think that's true. We're in a bit of a bubble here, and companies have a huge amount of investment and therefore are able to grow more quickly, adopt new technologies, adopt new approaches. And it's fantastic getting all those people together to start to see in that melting pot what we can generate for everyone else who comes to the conference. It's great coming to conferences and hearing those stories from customers in real life, but actually not everyone has the opportunity to attend those conferences. The portal is a fantastic resource where it's case studies, it's hints and tips, it's experiences from process professionals both in the technology world but also in the customer world. It's a huge resource that you should all tap into.